He offered no words, just a knowing smile as he removed his coat, his gaze locked onto mine. He flashed a comforting smile and reassured her, "You're not alone." My name is Marin. What unfolded next prompted a profound contemplation within me. It was a moment of reselenation, not a hasty decision. My husband allowed me to continue. He observes intently. He finds himself resisting this, but what could be the reason? What implications arise for a marriage when trust is shattered in such a sudden manner? Will you linger a while longer? Are you following along? I seek to uncover the truth. If you found yourself in my shoes, how would you navigate the situation? Share your reflections in the comments section. I'm still navigating through my thoughts. Allow me to introduce myself. I'm Marin, a 48-year-old woman sharing a charming abode in the suburbs with my husband Ellis. From an outsider's perspective, it all appears flawless. In our cozy abode, we share the joy of 2 adult children, while a lavender garden bursts into vibrant purple each early summer, and we cherish tranquil evenings spent together. At least that's the narrative that others believe, yet deep inside me lies an unspoken emptiness. Ellis remained a constant presence, arriving home at the usual hour, inquiring about my dinner preferences, and sharing the same bed as always. Yet an unspoken shift had occurred that we both acknowledged without words. The tender caresses of yesteryears have faded into mere absent-minded grazes while flipping through channels on the television. The vibrant exchanges have given way to, "Well, I have an early meeting tomorrow." He may not have made any mistakes yet. You have stopped doing the things that make me feel acknowledged, cherished, and cared for. I once thought that as time passed, love would gently settle into something as lukewarm as forgotten tea. Not fervent, but tender, yet this chill lacks a tender touch. It quietly weaves its way into every aspect of our union. There are afternoons when I linger in front of the mirror, pondering whether my absence would truly be felt by anyone in this house. Throughout my formative years, I dedicated myself to my family. I gave up my beloved job to be at home and nurture the kids, sacrificed enchanting evenings with friends due to the children's fevers. There were moments when Ellis would return home after the sun had set, the festive season when I meticulously arranged every detail, while he simply had to show up. I hold no bitterness towards it. Yet now, as the children have matured, that void has resurfaced more pronounced than before. In the morning, I prepared a pot of coffee for 2 Ellis. Ellis savored a single sip before turning his full attention to the glowing screen before him. I sat across from him, feeling the urge to share that last night I found myself wandering through a forest, completely alone and unseen, yet I chose to hold my tongue, fully aware that his response would simply be, "That's odd, you drift off into a deeper slumber." As the warm rays danced on the porch, a single thought emerged in my mind. Though I share my life with a wonderful partner, a profound sense of solitude touches me. On that Tuesday morning, a gentle drizzle fell from the sky. With a light jacket draped over my shoulders, I rushed out the door and made my way to the Willowbrook Art Center. There I immersed myself in a series of craft classes, seeking to weave together moments to fill the quiet spaces between meals. On that particular day, the classroom stood silent and deserted. I found myself at a table by the window, lost in thought as I absent-mindedly folded colorful strips of paper, my imagination drifting to distant places. In that moment, his voice reached me rich and soothing. "Would it be all right if I took a seat here?" I glanced upward to see a man in his early 50s clad in simple attire, his warm smile inviting and genuine. He shared his name, saying it was Rowan. I recently settled into this town, and my friends suggested I explore some craft classes to connect with the community. I offered a subtle smile and gave a nod of acknowledgement. Every individual carries a tale of escape, a narrative woven with the threads of their own experiences. It's fascinating how our conversation flowed effortlessly as he reminisced about his adventurous journeys across states during his youth. He shared heartfelt stories about his mother, a resilient woman who had to navigate life alone after his father departed. He expressed a lingering feeling that his present life seemed almost too perfect, bordering on unsettling. I may not reveal much, but I am always here to absorb the tales around me. For the first time in ages, I feel like my voice is being heard as well. He avoided mundane inquiries such as what was on the dinner menu or how the girl was faring in her academic pursuits. He inquired, "Have you ever experienced the sensation of being someone entirely different?" Then paused, anticipating a response. That question, so straightforward, brought tears to my eyes. Well, I'm not quite sure why. Perhaps it struck a chord within me, or maybe it was the way Rowan looked at that moment. His gaze not searching, not filled with pity, just a genuine presence. As the class wrapped up, he kindly suggested giving me a lift, since the rain was still softly falling. I turned it down, not because it was inconvenient, but because I fear that if I linger beside you a moment longer, I might lose track of just how long I've been on my own. That night, I kept my thoughts to myself, leaving Ellis in the dark. He remained captivated by the screen, glancing up briefly to remind, "Don't forget to lock the door." As I cast a glance his way, a subtle nod escaped my lips before I stepped into the room yet. My thoughts drifted to a different place where an unfamiliar face had posed a question that even my dearest family had never thought to ask. 3 days after our fleeting exchange, I encountered Rowan at the quaint cafe on the corner, neither by coincidence nor precisely a date. Just as I was ready to place my order, he strolled in. In that fleeting glance, our eyes locked, and in that instant, my heart raced like never before. "Do you still enjoy ice mocha?" he inquired, his tone as gentle as a whispering wind. A wave of laughter escaped me. "Can you recall?" "It was unforgettable," he remarked, his expression earnest, conveying a depth that made me feel valued. We gathered by the window where soft rays of light poured in, creating a warm atmosphere. On that day, the sky held a muted hue, neither drenched in rain nor basking in sunlight, a weather that dances between extremes much like my own essence. Rowan didn't inquire about my family or dig into Ellis, yet his questions felt like an invitation to unveil a hidden chapter of my life. Have you ever found yourself reflecting on the things that have slipped away from you? Is there a moment from your past that you long to revisit, even if just for a fleeting second? And then arrived the final question, which brought a lump to my throat. Has anyone ever really understood the depths of your being for what felt like an eternity? I held my tongue. The cup of coffee has grown cold and my hands feel the chill, yet my heart is slowly finding warmth against all odds. That evening, I returned home later than I typically do. Ellis found himself in his familiar spot, the television casting its glow while the lively sounds of sports filled the living room. Just like any other day, he never inquired about my destination. He remained completely absorbed, his gaze fixed elsewhere. As I stepped inside, I set my shoes down by the door, then made my way to the kitchen where I filled a glass with refreshing water. In a fleeting moment, I recalled how Rowan softly placed his hand on my shoulder as we said goodbye. A simple act that reminded me of my worth, not merely as a caregiver or partner, but as an individual with my own feelings and desires. As Ellis strolled into the kitchen, he set the beer down on the table and inquired, "Have you had dinner yet?" "All right," I responded. He nodded, opened the fridge to grab another beer, then turned away, putting on a facade as if all was well. Yet perhaps that is precisely what we have turned into. Short inquiries, fragmented gestures, and evenings spent in separate spaces, just distant enough to avoid contact, yet near enough to label it a union afterward. I lingered on the bed, lost in thought about Rowan's gaze, a gaze that met mine without flinching. When I confessed my loneliness within these walls, a gaze that made me feel seen, a sensation I had long been deprived of, I'm at a crossroads, unsure of the path ahead. There are moments that leave me pondering the emotional threads I believe to be straightforward, yet I hold on to one certainty. It felt like ages since anyone really paid attention to my words. And the most perilous moment arrives when you begin to understand the depth of your longing for it. I began to rise with the dawn, not to whip up breakfast for Ellis like I used to, but to find solace on the little balcony, cradling a warm cup of tea as I observed the sunlight gently weaving through the leaves, rediscovering the art of listening to my own thoughts. I haven't shared anything about Rowan with anyone. Not out of shame, but because I'm unsure how to define that connection. Neither lovers nor friends. It is an emptiness that he unknowingly occupies with his look, and inquiries that linger without the need for resolution. On Thursday afternoon, a message from him found its way to me. If you still enjoy the beauty of the sunset by the old lake, I can come by and take you there. I had planned to remain silent, yet my fingers revealed the turmoil within my heart. Just a little longer. Make sure you arrive on time. As I settled into the car, a silence enveloped us, with Rowan choosing not to break it. He filled the air with gentle melodies, made sure the seat was just right for me, and offered a chilled bottle of water from the hidden storage compartment. There was a certain balance to his essence, a gentle rhythm that defined him. It's a delicate balance, neither overwhelming me nor ignoring the unspoken connection that lingers in the air. On that day, the lakeside stood empty, a silent witness to untold tales waiting to be shared. The chill of the wind swept through the air. The water surface danced, casting a soft orange glow that whispered tales of the setting sun. We gathered in silence, our connection speaking volumes without the need for many words. I understand this isn't easy, Rowan murmured, his gaze locked on the shimmering water surface. I hope it doesn't seem like I'm stepping into your world uninvited, but I am indeed doing that. I responded, my tone calm and straightforward, simply stating the facts. What's truly unsettling is that you appear to be completely calm. I gazed up at him. As the day drew to a close, the colors of the sunset danced in Rowan's gaze. Those eyes had always embraced my truth. Only the essence. Cozy, soft, and soothing. In an instant, a fierce gust swept in. In a swift motion, Rowan lifted his hand to protect me, his palm resting on my shoulder as if it were a natural response. Our hands brushed briefly, stirring a quiet sense of connection. I stand my ground. I also stayed in place. I found myself in a moment of stillness. The gesture touched a hidden corner of my soul that had long been forgotten. He pulled his hand back after a few moments deliberately, as if honoring something far more profound than mere longing. With a gentle tone, he expressed his regret. I shook my head. No, I accept the apology. In the stillness, a shared connection spoke volumes without uttering a single word. As he drove me home that night, the air was thick with unspoken words. When I finally stepped out of the car, I lingered in front of the door, lost in thought for what felt like an eternity. In the quiet of the study, Ellis finds himself immersed in a world of thoughts and reflections. The steady rhythm of the keyboard fills the air, mirroring the journey of our union. There is sound, there is movement, yet the echoes of meaning have faded away. Is sleep still eluding you? I inquired, propping myself against the doorframe. Indeed, he pressed on without looking back. What adventures await you on your journey? Wander. To free my thoughts, I spun a tale. After more than 3 decades, I found myself pulling away from him, not out of a desire to conceal anything, but because I understand that Ellis won't probe any deeper. In that quiet, I find a deeper sense of solitude than in any other moment. That night, as I lay beside him, I found myself lost in thought. Through the quiet night, Ellis faced away, his breath steady and calm. My hand hovered over the quiet space between us, an emptiness that remained untouched by anyone. I shut my eyes, yet slumber eluded me. A solitary question resonated within my heart when trust breaks apart, not due to betrayal, but from a long absence. Does what follows still carry the label of wrong, or is it merely the yearning to be seen again? A week drifted by since the sun dipped below the horizon by the lakeside. It seems that Rowan has not crossed my path once more. Silence reigns with no words exchanged and no calls made. Hints about the next gathering were nowhere to be found. Yet that void only deepened the chasm that lay between us. It opened my eyes to the fact that I had longed for more than I was willing to confess. Life with Ellis continues as it always has. Once the clock strikes 7 a.m., the morning feast begins to unfold. As I tend to the plants on the balcony, he immerses himself in the stories of the day on his iPad. We still retire for the night at the usual hour, yet it all feels like a performance, a sequence of routines dictated by habit, no longer resonating with anyone's emotions. One evening after I had finished the dishes, I entered the bedroom and found Ellis perched on the edge of the bed, his shirt still buttoned, gazing at an old wedding photo frame in his hands. "Can you envision fading away?" he inquired, his gaze averted from mine. It caught me off guard. Vanished. In those moments, I found myself gazing up during our dinners, feeling the weight of your touch while I remained unresponsive, and in the embraces, where it seemed you were the only one reaching out, my hands tightened into fists. It wasn't my intention, Ellis. There came a moment when I found myself questioning whether you genuinely perceived me, or merely the reflection of the partner you had become accustomed to embracing. He nodded with a thoughtful expression. It seems there's a tale waiting to be uncovered. I began to speak, but he lifted his hand to silence me, not to question. It's simply that if there's something out there that reignites that spark within you, perhaps I long to hear about it, even if it shatters my heart. I approached and settled beside him. Once upon a time, there existed an individual, not a storyteller. He gazes at me with a look that stirs something deep within a glance, reminiscent of moments long past, evoking memories that have been dormant for far too long. Rowan, Ellis inquired. As I gazed at him, a wave of astonishment washed over me. I'm fully aware, Marin. Last time he took you home. Your gaze spoke volumes about your feelings for him. It's not an incorrect emotion, but instead the look of someone who has finally been seen for who they are. For the first time, tears welled up in my eyes, not from remorse, but because Ellis voiced the very words I had been too afraid to utter. Do you feel upset with me? Ellis's eyes reddened as he expressed his frustration with himself. I once believed that having stability was all I needed. I never understood how much time had passed while you remained unheard. After countless nights, I finally took his hand in mine. There's no need for you to change who you are, Ellis. I long for you to see me as you did before, as the woman you once selected rather than merely the figure next to you. Continue to hold my hand tightly. Allow me to give it another shot, Marin. From the very start, not as a husband, but as the man yearning to love you again, we embraced each other in quietude. Not a gesture of pardon, but an embrace to embark on a fresh journey. We may not have the answers about beginning anew, yet the truth has finally been revealed. And that might just be all we need to dream about. Transformation does not arise from a single evening filled with affection or a sincere expression of regret. It arrives softly, much like the slow healing of a wound, subtle and unassuming, yet unwavering in its presence. Ellis took his time to transform. He remained the reserved figure, choosing his words with caution, frequently concealing his feelings behind the duties that awaited his attention. However, there exists a singular distinction. He has begun to show up more often. One morning, I awoke to discover the kitchen set up with the aroma of freshly brewed coffee and golden toast waiting for me. It's a small moment, yet it's the first time in many years that I've witnessed him in the kitchen doing it for me. Not just out of routine, a smile graced my face, uncomplicated, yet brimming with appreciation. When I inquired, he merely shrugged his shoulders. I imagined you'd appreciate a morning free from concerns. A week later, he proposed that we visit the local book fair together, a venue I had frequented solo since my retirement. He moved silently in the background, every so often inquiring which author has captured your attention. What inspired you to select this book? Inquiries that lack courtesy. They are the heartfelt attempts of an individual striving to reconnect with their partner, filled with both awkwardness and genuine intent. As for me, I'm also discovering the art of giving Ellis another chance. I've grown comfortable with his gaze as we share our meals together. I opened up about the musings swirling in my mind. The little details, like why the flower pot on the porch remains untouched, or the unnamed weariness that lingers. And I noticed Ellis was tuned in, not with criticism, but with the soft stillness of someone who genuinely seeks to comprehend. As for Rowan, our paths never crossed again after that day. However, I took the time to pen a brief letter which I sent to the old office where he once worked, simply to express my gratitude. No commitments, no justifications, just a heartfelt acknowledgement for the reminder that I am here, still able to experience emotions and still deserving of empathy. Throughout the path of recovery, a singular truth emerged for me. At times, it's not necessary to tear everything apart to rediscover who you truly are. Simply have the courage to gaze into the widening chasm between the two individuals and bridge it as one. One afternoon, as Ellis held my hand and we wandered along the lakeside, the very spot where I last encountered Rowan, I gently expressed, I don't need you to transform entirely. I simply require your full attention and engagement." He held my hand tightly, his eyes filled with genuine emotion. "And you must vow if you find yourself adrift once more, do not remain quiet," I acknowledged with a nod. "This time I will share my tale. We may not have it all figured out, but we are rediscovering the art of companionship, not from a blank slate, but from the imperfections that allow light to shine through. Not every union crumbles in times of turmoil, and not everyone turns to betrayal when feeling hollow. Some individuals yearn for the spotlight, yearning for the chance to share their voices and experiences, to allow someone to reach into the depths of the solitude they have hidden away for far too long. Marin's tale unfolds not in the shadows of betrayal, but in the quest to rekindle a lost bond. In the journey of self and with a partner who feels far away, the path to healing emerges, not from external sources, but from the bravery to confront the unspoken fractures that linger within. Sometimes, rekindling love isn't about finding someone new. It's about rediscovering the familiar, seeing it through the lens of growth and maturity for both individuals. If this tale evoked any feelings within you, be it surprise, intrigue, or contemplation, I would love to know your thoughts. How would you have navigated Celine's situation? Can you imagine trust enduring through something so unexpected? We'd love to hear your genuine reflections in the comments below. Your viewpoint could guide another in navigating their own journey. And if you seek more narratives that defy conventions exploring the intricate realms of love and identity, be sure to hit that subscribe button and join us on this journey. Each comment and reaction we share weaves a richer tapestry for our community, and your voice plays a vital role in this narrative. Let's share some tales.